Welcome everyone to another episode of the Digital Toolbox podcast. I am your host, Enmanuel Tahara. I'm the owner of Landscape Maverick. We are a digital marketing agency for landscapers and hardscapers throughout the world. And today we have a very, very special guest for you guys. We have one of the leading software providers for landscapers and hardscapers just like you. We have Weston from Synked Up. So Weston, introduce yourself, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be on your podcast. I basically am just a contractor from central Pennsylvania. I started off as a foreman at a company I started off as a laborer, actually. Started at a company called Tussie Landscaping, worked my way up to a foreman, then eventually just helping, refine systems and processes in our own business there, Tussie Landscaping. I was just an employee. And in that pursuit of trying to build better systems and processes, really long story short, we ended up building Synked Up, which is an app to help us solve what I call the two ways that contractors lose profit. One is the math, getting the math wrong on your estimates. The other one is the resources, getting the meaning like labor, material, and other expenses in your estimates incorrect. And Synked Up solves them both. We solve the math problem by building a budget to help us understand exactly what you need to charge per hour to the penny and automate that problem. So it's not like something you feel like you have to become a spreadsheet expert to do. You don't have to. And then secondly, we solve the resources problem, meaning have accurate amounts of resources, labor, material, etc., in our estimates by building templates and production rates and job costing. And what I mean by job costing is I might estimate a job and I might estimate that it takes me 100 man hours to build it. Then I go do the job and I track my hours, for example, and I find out that it took me 150 hours to build it. That's job costing, comparing the estimated versus actual, so that I now have the power and the knowledge to go back and build a more accurate estimate next time. That's solving the resources problem. So there you go. You solve both problems. The math
Boom.
And the resources, predictable profits.
Let's go. That's awesome, Weston. And you know what? Let's talk about the software first, and then later on, maybe we'll get into some personal things, building the business and all that. So you guys solve a lot of things, right? And right, let's just hit on the one topic that I have a question on right away, which is, in order for somebody to be able to use your software, do they already have to know their specific numbers? For example, do they have to know how much time a project will take, or do you guys try to help them figure that out?
Well, we meet you wherever you're at. So if you're literally shooting from the hip, and we start some people where we ask them, how do you bid a job? And they literally tell us, I just kind of look at it and pick a number, shoot from the hip. We'll take you from there, man. We'll take you. We'll help you figure it out and take that mad scientist magic and turn it into repeatable systems and processes. So no, you don't have to know everything. You can start wherever you're at. There's no barrier to entry. It's literally just raise your hand, say I want to get better at this. We'll help you get better at it.
Gotcha. So it's kind of almost like a consulting approach as well, right? Where you kind of coach them on landscaping and hardscaping.
That's right.
And if they don't know how much they should be pricing, then you guys help them figure that out.
That's right. Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. And so who would you say that Synked Up is for? Because of course we know there's people that are in the lawn care industry, there's people that are landscaping where they're doing flower beds and landscape lighting. Then we have hardscaping, and then we have the premium outdoor living services. So who is Synked Up for, and who is it not for?
It's best for contractors in the $250K to $5 million range of revenue. We serve both owner-operators that don't really have any intention of building a scalable business with multiple crews. Like we serve the owner-operators where we literally have one-man businesses on our platform, and they do amazing. And yes, they pay full price, and they make every penny of that back and more ROI. And we have companies all the way up to 6, 7, 8 million with 20, 30, 40 employees doing, systems at scale, many crews out in the field. So everything from from either end of that spectrum. And we focus mainly on the landscape, outdoor living industries, and that's mostly because that's where our background is. But we have electricians or pole barn builders or whatever that come to us and hey, can we use it because we think it's what we need? We're like, yeah, sure. I mean, if it works for you, absolutely. So we don't turn them away. But we focus our marketing if you go to our website, you can obviously see it's geared towards the green industry, but the mechanics, the principles are the same for any contractor doing a service business. Who it's not for, so Synked Up, I would say our vision. A lot of contractors in the green industry get started by mowing grass, and then they start doing landscapes, and then they start doing patios and outdoor living spaces, right. And I would say Synked Up serves the contractors that are doing that construction a little better from an operational standpoint, like the design build, the one-off projects. Synked Up does do both, and it is in our vision to serve both, like the companies that do both design build and recurring maintenance, like mowing, fertilization, etc. But if you have 10 crews out there doing recurring services, fertilization with 1,000 properties that you maintenance, I mean, that's not who we serve. That's not our core. Like, we're more of the design build contractor that also does maintenance. In between the 250K to 500K, 5 million or even up revenue ranges.
Gotcha, man. That is awesome. And funny enough, I was telling you actually before we started the podcast, I was on a call earlier today with this young landscaper. And this was one thing that I love, by the way, Weston, because I'm 24 myself, and we're seeing a lot of youngsters coming into the game, and they're killing it. I mean, they're making $1 million plus, 2 million plus, and they're hardscaping and they're landscaping. I love seeing it. And I was talking to one of them earlier today. He's actually from Arizona. We were on a sales call for digital marketing. He mentioned, yes, I want to focus on marketing, but first I want to get organized. I want to get my shit together, were his words. And he says he was going to use Synked Up to do that. So somebody in that situation where, let's say they're making $1 million, but they have no systems in place. Everything is so manual. It takes them 4 or 5 days to get a quote out. Would you recommend somebody like that to get organized first, or start marketing to bring in more leads while figuring it out?
Well, you need leads. You need to sell work. You need to do work. But that being said, if you're doing work at a loss, meaning you don't have your stuff together and you are pricing your jobs incorrectly, doing work is just going to dig you a deeper hole. So for that reason, I would say you're doing more work needlessly without any gain. In fact, you're going backwards if you don't have your stuff together. So before you even do your first job, figure out what you need to be charging, per hour. And there's free tools on the Synked Up website, like synkedup.com/resources. Like, we have a free man-hour calculator, a free budgeting tool, free estimating tool that it's just freebies. Like, it's like these little online calculators. Like, picture like these calculate your car payment type things. You know what I mean? And so start there if you don't have 2 nickels to rub together. But to answer your question, I would say if I get leads and I do work, but I'm not making any money, I may as well stay home or take my kids fishing. You know what I mean? If I'm not making any money. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that you're pricing your jobs at a rate that actually allows you to make money. And so I would say even at a basic rate, figure it out for free. Go to YouTube, go to Synked Up, go to whatever. You can do this for free. You don't have to pay a single penny to figure this stuff out if you want to do it yourself and watch YouTube videos and that kind of thing. But make sure you're being profitable. Marketing is then pouring gas on a fire, meaning once you have a thing that works, marketing is just making that thing that works happen more often.
Exactly, right. Because if you have a repeatable system, then now it doesn't matter the amount of leads that come in and the amount of job that you close. All those leads are going to go to the same system, and you're going to ensure that the job is going to get done properly throughout all the projects, which is the end goal for any landscaper or hardscaper, is to bring in more jobs and fulfill them, right? That's business. Bring the business in, provide them with the service and the product.
To say it simply, I've often told people that are trying to figure this out is like, listen, just build yourself a budget, figure out what you need to be charged, and then go get the leads that you need to sell the work at those prices. What I'm pushing back against with that statement is sometimes people come in and they do figure out what their rates need to be. They do build a budget for the first time ever, and they tell me they've been charging $60 a man hour since who knows when, and the budget tells them they need to be charging $92 an hour, and they tell me, like, dude, I'm never going to be able to sell jobs for that amount. I'm like, you got 2 choices: cut costs or figure out how to do more billable revenue without increasing costs. Those are your 2 choices.
Are those 2 things possible?
Absolutely. You can cut costs. A lot of people in this industry, they love equipment. They love the fancy new truck. They love, we love to spend money on these things. And what can often happen is you might have a $400,000 or $500,000 little business with the equipment and the assets that you really should be doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million worth of revenue to fund, meaning you're too heavy on overhead expenses, which is driving your rates way up. But anyway, the point I'm making with the whole thing is like saying, sometimes what happens is when you find out what you really need to be charging, and then you start getting no's back on your proposals that you're sending out, like people are refusing, they're not closing. Sometimes what happens is you realize you're trying to sell to the wrong market, meaning you're selling Lamborghinis and you're selling to a Honda Accord market. And you need to go find a Lamborghini market to sell to, or change your model and go deliver Accords. You see what I'm saying? And so what marketing plays a big role in that, as well as qualifying the leads that you get from your marketing. It's like, I'm sure if you're a landscaper and you're listening to this, I can't tell you how many, I'm sure everybody has had the conversation of like, hey, I want to hire you. I'm going to, let's get it on the books. I'm going to get on your schedule. I'll send you a down payment. And this is my vision. You get all excited, blah, blah, blah. You come up with a quote and you give them a quote for 30 grand. And you're like, oh my goodness, I was thinking 5 grand. Here you spend all this time on a lead that was never going to buy from you anyway, and neither of you knew it. So qualifying those leads is key. And what I want you to, I'm rambling a little bit here, but the point I'm trying to make is figure out your rates and then go find the people that can buy the services that you provide at the rates that allow you to be profitable. Don't let yourself get sucked into head trash thinking like, well, I can never charge those rates, blah, 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 blah. It's a matter of finding the market that wants it.
I love it. And don't even worry about rambling on, Weston, because what you're saying is actually a lot of game. And let's go back on that a little bit too. You mentioned that you may be selling Lamborghinis to a Honda Civic market or a Honda market in general. Yeah. So what would you recommend to get around that? Would it be to target those higher income zip codes, or would it be to, how would you get around that?
Well, back to the thing I was saying about you have two choices, either cut your expenses or find a different market, or do more work without increasing your expenses. I would say either decide what you're going to do. Either sell cheaper services to an Accord market, or if you want to be the best of the best, go find the Lamborghini market. Go find the high-end market. Decide what you're going to do, and then structure your business model accordingly. And what I mean, that's jargon for saying don't go buy a tilt rotator if all you're going to do is plant shrubs in the ground, $5,000 landscape jobs. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to go build swimming pools and full outdoor living spaces, that's a Lamborghini market, right? And then your business model can support the cost of that expensive equipment, etc. And to answer your question about like going into high-end zip codes and that kind of thing, sure, that's good stuff. That you targeting is important, but something that's just as important as targeting, or maybe even more important, is qualifying your leads. Once you get the lead, ask qualifying questions to make sure that you're a good fit before you waste 3-4 hours of time only to find out that you're going to get a no. And there was nothing you could have said or did that would have gotten you a yes. You want to get that basically once you have the lead, you want to get that no as quickly as possible. So what we did at Tussie Landscaping, a lot of people are kind of shy about like, well, what's your budget? These qualifying questions. So what we did at Tussie Landscaping is we built a thing called a project planner. And it was basically a glorified web form, really, is what it is. But it's picture like building a truck on a vehicle website. Like go build a truck on Ford's website or whatever. And it's this visual, like the project planner at Tussie Landscaping is this visual thing of like, all these photos of like you can add to your shopping cart. Like, hey, I want lighting, I want a patio, I want a swimming pool, and small, medium, and large, and there's photos and descriptions with it, and budget ranges. So what we do is when we get a lead, at Tussie, we would say, hey, thank you very much. One of the ways we would vet and qualify is we would charge a consultation fee just to eliminate tire kickers. Some people don't like consultation fees. Other people are fans of them. I don't care. It's not about the fee at all. It's about the filtering.
What would you charge for that?
We were charging $100, but I don't care if you're charging I don't care if you're charging $1 or $5 grand. I know people that charge as low as $20. I know people that charge as much as a couple grand. I don't care about the amount. It's the fact that a transaction is taking place is what matters, because even $5 will weed out the tire kickers. You get the point?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm getting at with once you the consultation fee is just it's another filtering mechanism. The project planner was phase 2 of our filtering mechanism. So what would happen is they'd pay the consultation fee. Cool. We'd schedule the consultation. We'd say, okay, the secretary would say, okay, hey, I'm going to send you this project planner. I need you to fill this out before the consultation. Cool. Awesome. Send the email. Client clicks on the link, opens it up, and basically builds their project. Kind of like, oh yeah, I want this. I'm like thinking about this. Yes, I want that. And down at the bottom, as they're adding things, it says, okay, you're in the $80,000 to $120,000 range for the project that you're building, or I don't know, pick the number, 3,000 to 8,000. The point is now the customer not only told you what they want, you subtly informed them, educated them as to what things cost. And you know what happens? Sometimes you get a return phone call after they book that consultation and saying, hey, I had no idea. I actually want to cancel the consultation. Thank you very much. I might call you in next year or 3 years from now or whatever. And you just saved one, you educated the client in a respectful way that didn't take you a bunch of your time or any salesman magic, so to speak. And now the client has the ability to gracefully bow out without you standing in their kitchen table, sliding a proposal across the table. And they're like, oh my goodness, we had no idea. And now they feel all awkward and embarrassed. No customer likes that experience. They hate it as bad as you do as the contractor. So the sooner you can help them, or the sooner you can get the no from them or get to the source of those potential deal breakers, the better off and the happier everyone is.
Wow, I love that strategy right there. I really do, because that filters out the tie kickers right away, like you said. I love that. One thing that I would say though, Weston, and I want to get your opinion on this too. It's something that we deal with, because when we build websites for the most premium landscaping and hardscaping companies. A lot of the times, a lot of people use Jobber, right, which is a platform CRM, and they want to slap on a nice big form right away. That's the way that they get contacted. But I think that that's counterproductive. I think that at first, a form with just 4 basic questions, right? Name, email, phone number,
Yes.
and maybe a message is just perfect, right? You get that lead in, because if you have a form and it's 20 questions long, and
Yes.
it's okay, what do you want? And how,
Yes.
what's your budget and this and that?
Yes.
Nobody's going to fill that out, right?
No.
Well,
So
I say what's better is you have a short form, four questions. You get on the phone with them. You have that personal touch for a couple of minutes, and then you send over that longer form once
yes,
you've spoken to them. What do you think about that?
1,000% agree. Your whole website, like everything on the skin of the front end of the website, should just be name, phone number, email. That's it. And maybe add one question of what are you interested in? Just that,
Right.
That's it.
Right.
After you have their contact information, then you can either redirect them to phase 2 form or call them or whatever your process is. And only once you know who they are and what they want, then you give them the 20 questions theoretically to fill out, because you don't want those deep questions to kind of kill the opportunity to get their name and phone number and email before you you don't want to build a form. Like, it's like pushing them down the funnel. Get their contact information first, then push them down the funnel and ask the qualifying questions. Don't ask the qualifying questions right up front, because you'll lose so many opportunities to get leads or contacts that you can continue to nurture and provide value for, even if they don't become your customer right away.
Yeah, dude, 1,000%. I agree with that 1,000%. And that's something that I see all the time, because people think that just because they have Jobber and just because that's the default settings for Jobber, or whatever CRM they're using, they just slap that on there. But I'm like, that's counterproductive. You want to shorten that up a bit more. And on that same topic, Weston, I mean, you're making big splashes, right? You're one of Jobber's #1 competitors. So I wanted to ask you, how do your features, the problems that you guys solve, the features that you guys have, and the way in which you solve the problem, how does that compare to other platforms, like maybe like House Call Pro, like Jobber, some of these other platforms?
Well, I actually use Jobber, and I loved it. I mean, I love Jobber's a great product. They're easy to use. They're a great company, and they solve the problem that they solve. The problem that we solve that they don't, or a lot of those products, like this is the simplest way I think there is to explain it. When you build an estimate inside of Jobber, House Call Pro, pick your platform. When you bid an estimate or build an estimate inside one of those platforms, it's like, imagine yourself clicking new line item, type in the description of what you're going to provide, and then there's a blank field there where you type in what you're going to charge to do that service. Okay? The blank field, you type in the number. Nobody's telling you what that number is. The difference between Jobber and, say, Synked Up is Synked Up tells you what that number should be, and it's accurate to the penny to not only cover your costs, your overhead costs, and make sure you're going to make the profit you're going to make. So instead of you just saying new line item description and then type in a number that I just made up or came up with on my own pen and paper or whatever, all I do in Synked Up is say new line item, and I'm going to need this many hours. I'm going to need this product. I'm going to need this and this and this. Synked Up does all the math for you automatically and says, hey, you're going to charge $12,137.23 to do this job. Oh, you need a few more plants? Now it's a few $100s more. Like, it's telling you what the number is instead of Jobber or House Call Pro or whatever other platform you want to pick, asking you what you want to charge. And asking you what you want to charge could be at you're not making any money at that price.
Gotcha. And that's a great point, that you're entering the number based on your own volition, your own best judgment. But sometimes we may not have that best judgment, or it might not be as profitable as we should be at that point in time. So let me ask you then, Weston, how does Synked pull in the details? Like, I'm imagining that you enter how much specific material costs, how much time it takes. So is that how it works? Like, you take some time to set it up?
Well, yeah, we in our onboarding process, we like back to the thing of like how experienced do you have to be or whatever. Now we have a white glove onboarding experience that helps you figure this stuff out, even if you have no idea or just getting started or never have even bid a job properly before. But to answer your question, how we know what you should charge is first we build a budget. And what I mean by building a budget is we ask who works for you, what do you pay for them, what do you pay them, how many hours do they work? We ask you questions that you know off the top of your head, okay? Then we ask you, who do you buy your materials from, and how much have you spent with? How much do you project spending with them this year for all the jobs you're going to do? What are all your overhead expenses? Your insurance, your website, your marketing, your payroll fees, your phone bill, everything. What are all your overhead expenses? And then finally, what equipment do you have, and what's the payments on them, or how much life do you expect to get out of them if you own them outright, etc. And then we take all of those inputs that you kind of know off the top of your head. That's all information you have ready access to. And we just plug that all in, and then Synked Up does the math to figure out, okay, for you to cover all of those costs and to hit your profit goals, this is what you have to charge. These are the markups that you have to add to your cost to actually achieve your profit goals. Then, so that gets the math. Then we also import all of your products from your vendors that you buy from. If you're a hardscaper, you can import all of Teco or Unilock's products that you bring in and what you pay for them from the suppliers you buy from. So Synked Up has a whole item catalog of all of the materials you buy from your vendors. So then when you're bidding an estimate, you're just searching for this paver and dragging and dropping in products that you need to build the estimate. And you're just telling Synked Up about how many hours you anticipate this job to take. So picture, it's going to take me about 3 days. I'm going to have 3 guys on the job site. We work about 3 or 10 hours a day. So 10 hours a day times 3 guys, that's 30 man hours a day times 3 days. That's 90 man hours. Okay, cool. I put in 90 man hours. But, and then we can calculate that, okay, with the 90 man hours and all the products that you need, and we add all the overhead recovery markups and the profit markups that you need. That's how we get to us telling you, Synked Up telling you what you need to charge for this work to be profitable. But we're not done yet. Now, when you go do the job, we're going to track those hours and we're going to track those materials that you had in the estimate. We're going to track how much you actually used. And then we're going to show estimated versus actual in real time. So you might be half done doing the job in reality, but you realize you've already consumed 3/4 of your man hours and you know you're in trouble before you're even done doing the job. So that you can have the data and the power to learn from it and make a more accurate estimate next time based on your historical track record. And what that does is most contractors, they get to they grow, they do a ton of work, and they get more work than they've ever done before. The clients are happy, everything feels like it should be good, but they open up their bank account at the end of the year and they're like, how on earth, where's the money? How am I going to make it through the winter? And by that time, unfortunately, you're months downstream from the source of that problem. Job costing gives you the answers to the source of those problems in real time. You know before you're even done on the job whether you're on track or off track. And if you're off track, you do everything you can to minimize the damage as quickly as possible. Maybe you can figure out how to do an upsell and some lighting and make a little more revenue on the job without investing a ton more time or whatever. And it allows you to react in real time so that the very next estimate that you're sending out to Mrs. Jones tomorrow is already adjusted based on what you have learned from your past track record, instead of getting to the end of the year and being like, where in the world is the money?
I see what you mean, man. That is awesome, and that definitely brings awareness to job costs. And like you said, like it's one thing to accept the job and then you put out all the equipment, put out all the materials just to find out after you finish that, oh shit, we actually didn't make it. We lost money on this. We
Yeah.
gave too much material. We weren't as efficient.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
So I definitely see the value in having a software that handles that. And I wanted to ask you, so as we know, I mean, prices are constantly changing. So how does that work with Synced Up? Do the contractors have to edit their own materials over time if prices are changing just to remain accurate with the
So
numbers?
you can, let's say your vendor sends you an email, hey, these products have changed in price. Well, you can just take that. Say they send you a spreadsheet with the new prices. You can just import that into your Synced Up account, and it'll find the matches and update it automatically.
Oh, that's awesome. So you don't have to go into like one by one and
No.
manually
Yeah.
update the whole catalog.
Yeah.
Dude, that's sick. That's
Dude,
sick. That's
we've lived
awesome.
this life. We know what it's like. We know what sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, I hate this. Let's figure out a way to solve it and make it better,
That's awesome, man. And on that same question about importing data, let's say that somebody's coming over from something like Jobber or something like Houseco Pro or the third party software, and they have their data. Is there a way to import that into Synced Up, or is that a difficult process?
Well, you can import all of your clients, obviously. So you can export the clients into a CSV file and import. We can do that for you too. So don't be scared if you don't, if importing, exporting sounds overwhelming. We can help you. But yes, you can import all of your clients. You can also import, in some cases, you can export all of the materials that you've used in your current system and bring them into your new Synced Up system. But for jobs and scheduled events and timesheets, like that stuff, you cannot import. You have to rebuild that. And so sometimes what happens, like a real life scenario, is maybe you have 10 or 20 jobs that are already sold and on the schedule in your old system, but now you're starting to use Synced Up. I mean, it literally takes minutes to create a job in Synced Up. So, I mean, sit down for an hour or two and you got it all rebuilt. It's as you're rebuilding, often you find out that, oh, wow, I sold these jobs at, these prices, man, this is not good. Like, I'm going to have to figure out how to overcome this. Maybe add some upsells or whatever. So, but it's kind of cool because as you're rebuilding those jobs, you get to see exactly what Synced Up thinks you should have been charging for this job and what you actually charged for it. So it gives you that almost before you even start, kind of what your projected net profit is going to be on those jobs.
Man, that's awesome, man. So yeah, I mean, anybody that's listening in and Synced Up sounds like a solution that you guys want to use. I mean, definitely reach out to Weston, or head over to synkedup.com and definitely check it out. I believe you guys offer a free demo as well, right? Where you guys
Yeah.
go over everything.
Yep, we do. And even on that demo, our goal is to provide value. Like, we have zero desire to have you book a call to get sold to. We want you to book a call and actually walk away with real value, whether you buy from us or not. And you know, I'm not a fan of twisting arms. We solve a problem. Either you have the problem and you want it solved, or you don't. And so the goal of the call is just to, uh, give you value. What we do on the call is we give you a quick and dirty assessment of where your man hour rate should be, just on our free man hour calculator. And we also show you how you can cut your estimating time by 90% just by using templates and production rates. And a lot of people think, well, I don't even know how to build a template and production rate. I don't understand the concept. We show that to you on the call. And then we show you the operational aspects of how Synced Up runs. And you ultimately tell us if you think this is going to solve your problem or not. And our average customer spends $5,000 a year with us at Synced Up, but they turn that into 10, 50, even 100 plus $1,000 in net profit in their first years.
And I can see how, because there's definitely a lot of value in that software and bringing awareness to things that contractors just don't think of
Yep.
or don't have time to think of. Sometimes they know about it or they know they should be mindful of it, but they just say, oh, it can't be that bad until you
Yep.
see the numbers and it looks you dead in the face. It's like, oh shit,
Yep.
we're fucking up.
Well,
So yeah,
what
anybody that
happens
for
is
seriously, yeah,
when life is getting hard, the default response is, well, I'll just work harder. I'll just do another job. I'll start working Saturdays. I'll start working evenings, whatever. I'll just do my estimates at night. Like the default response is we just work harder. But after a while, I mean, we're all human beings. We have 24 hours in a day. And after a while, working harder doesn't work.
yeah. There's
and
only so
so
much we can do.
and
Yeah.
so the goal is to fix the broken systems, plug the leaks, save the time. Instead of taking an hour to build an estimate every single time, let's figure out how to make it take 5 minutes, 2 minutes. We have customers doing $250,000 outdoor living space estimates in our system in less than 2 minutes.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So seriously, anybody that's thinking of making the jump over to Synked Up, definitely check it out. It's worth a shot, right? And even if let's say that you're a hardcore fan of a different software, different tool, it can't hurt, if you go and get educated on a different platform and then maybe come back with your existing software provider and just ask them, hey, do you guys have this feature? Or is there anything I can do to cover this hole, cover this leak? Right? You're just getting educated. Nobody's gonna twist your arm, nobody's gonna sell you. Weston's gonna leave you better than he found you. And I resonate with him, which is why he's on this podcast, because I'm the same way too. When people come to me for marketing services, I'll give away the farm on the first call or the second call. I'm just helping them out, getting to know them. And if they work with me, they'll work with me, right? But the information is free. You're paying me for the implementation of that for you. And that's kind of the same thing that you guys seem like you're doing, and you guys are adding value, helping people out, and I love that. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. I love that. I've said the same thing. Our knowledge is free. We'll give it to you all day, every day. You can take our free tools and run and use them for the rest of your life. We don't care. I mean, of course, we want what's best for you. So we know that
right.
there's so much more fruit on the vine, so to speak, and we want to help you achieve that, provided that you have the shoe fits the foot, that you have the problem that we solve, that kind of thing.
100%, 100%. And Weston, now let's talk a little bit because I find it interesting, right? As a fellow entrepreneur myself, you went from an entrepreneur, right? Like you were kind of leading things when you were building the software at the current company you were working at, and then once you found out that it worked, you mentioned that you kind of wanted to let the whole world know about it, let other landscapers know about it, so they can also solve that same problem. So when you were first starting your company, Synked Up, what was the vision? What were you guys looking to accomplish at first, and how big did you envision yourselves getting?
Well, we just realized that all of this work, all of these problems we were trying to solve for ourselves were not unique to us. And it was more of an industry problem than it was a problem unique to our business. And so, I don't know, like I've always loved identifying a problem, like seeing a manual process that just took forever or a mistake that kind of kept on happening repeatedly and figuring out like how do you get to the source of that problem? How do we set this up into a process that's repeatable in a way that saves time? Like that's just the way my brain works. Like everything, I just view life through that lens. And so um, we just felt like, and we were connected to the industry. We really loved going to events and networking. So we had a lot of friends in the industry, and we're like, dude, let's solve this not just for us, but for everybody. It was kind of like, hey, let's solve this problem and let's share it to the world. But I would say that I would probably label myself more of an accidental founder. I never started this to start a tech company. I never started this to grow a business and flip it or anything like that. I started this to solve a problem and to help, salt of the earth, hardworking craftsmen, people, that are employing a huge portion of the workforce, providing jobs, actually being contributors to society instead of takers. And just like, I want to enable that. I want to enable those people. I want those people to be successful. And today, obviously, as you evolve in your own journey, in your own life and career, your own vision evolves. And today, my vision's evolved to like, I want to help every one of those hardworking entrepreneurs actually make it. I want no one to go out of business because they didn't know. And they were working hard. They were providing a great service, but they just didn't understand how to charge profitably for it. They were making no money. So finally, they hang their hat and go home. I want to prevent that from happening and enable and get more contractors to own a business instead of having a business that owns them, like the whole thrive not survive thing that we have on our tagline.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And are you guys today? Well, what's the end vision? Like, how many do you have? Like a number of landscapers, or do you have a revenue number, or like a vision like that that you guys are looking to hit over time?
Well, kind of the next milestone is 10 million in revenue or 2,000 customers. Currently we're about 30% of the way there. So yeah, that's the next milestone. It's funny because back in the day when we first started this, it was about getting our first customer, and then it was like, well, let's get to 10 grand a month, and then it's like, well, let's get to enough to where we can pay some engineers and cash flow this thing, and now that we're a break even and cash flow positive, it's like, cool. Now let's get to the point where we can actually scale this out to as many people as possible, and even 2,000 contractors. In the grand scheme of things, that's not even scratching the surface, but that's the next, we'll get to 2,000 and then recalibrate and onward and upward from there.
Yeah, man, and I see it happening. I mean, seriously, like you guys already have a lot of eyes on you guys. Like I was saying earlier, when I looked you guys up, I was doing my research preparing for the podcast, and I'm like, all right, let me type in Synked Up on YouTube, on Google. First thing I see an ad, a competitor ad on you guys, by Jobber, by all these other softwares. So you guys are doing something right for sure.
Yeah, hey, that's what happens.
They're trying to take that market share from you guys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but hey, there's enough of room for everybody. Jobber solves a slightly different problem than what we solve, and if Jobber solves your problem, awesome, go use them. I just know that we solve a problem they don't.
Boom. Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that, yeah, and there's definitely money for everybody out there, right? It's just, depending on the problem you have, not everybody that goes to a different software aside from Synced Up is going to get that white glove experience. They're not going to get the consulting aspect of it. They're just going to get a tool, and they have to make that tool work for them instead of having somebody to consult them on. Okay, here's a tool. Well, first of all, here's a problem you're having. Here's a tool to solve it, and this is the best way to go about it. So I think that that's awesome, right? The fact that you guys go about it that way. One more question for you, Weston, because I definitely want to be respectful of your time as well. It's what's your day-to-day like as the CEO of a tech company like Synced Up? What do your days look like?
Well, have you ever followed or heard of Dan Martell?
He's a legend, man. He's a legend. Yeah, I know that he gets mentored by Ed Milet, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so I definitely have heard of him.
So I follow his Perfect Week, which is a framework that he uses to manage his time, manage his week, manage his day. And so one of the things that is definitely true when you get sucked into a startup is like, dude, there's always work to be done. You're never like done. And so, if you're like me, you just kind of get, obsessed with progress and getting stuff done and making progress. And what can happen is, or at least what my experience has been is like, suddenly you might look up and be like, dude, I'm married with a couple kids and like, man, they're growing up. And like, so I don't want to miss out on life on the path to executing this vision and this mission. So I start by creating a one-pager calendar for the whole year, and it keeps track of all my travel days, all my nights away from home, all my what happened this year is like I'm like there's zero downtime on this entire year, so I forced myself to go create some downtime, and that way it happens. If you put it out there where it's far enough away, where it's not interfering with the next meeting or the next project or the next whatever, it's on your calendar. My assistant has to work around it, and then that way life doesn't take a hold of me. I take a hold of life and design my life around my priorities, around not just work but family and everything else. So it starts by, for me, that one pager year calendar was extremely helpful in just making sure that I'm living life by design. Then coming down to the daily and weekly level, I use Dan Martell's Perfect Week framework, which is basically just, again, designing your days and weeks, theming those days and weeks, managing your energy, determining what are the things that should not be on my calendar and be delegated off to someone else. What are the things that should be, on my calendar, what's the magic that I bring to the company and to the vision, versus what's things that's just sucking energy that somebody else could do. But most of my days these days are pertaining to our internal operations, like our internal team meetings, product, like managing the product, designing the roadmap, working with the team to design the future things that we're bringing to the table. Marketing, I spend a lot of my week is still spent on marketing, which we're actually hiring a position for that right now to start buying back some of my time in that bucket. And sales and customer success, I'm pretty well handed off. I have leaders in each of those departments in the company. Marketing is the next department that I need to hand off a leader to. But I've been, there's been times in this whole Synked Up journey where, dude, I was working 50+ hour weeks at Tussey Landscaping when I was still doing my day job there before Synked Up was doing any revenue. And I would literally get up at 3 or 4 in the morning, work till 6, head out, do my 10-hour workday at Tussey Landscaping, come back, work till midnight. There was times in my life when I was doing 100-hour work weeks plus, and it was brutal. And we're finally at the point where we have enough of a team that you can start living life by design a little bit more and start managing these things as opposed to just straight grit and hustle, right? And overcoming challenges by brute force. But at the same time, as a startup, dude, you can't get your foot off the pedal. You can't let that innovation slow down. You can't start getting lazy, man. And so I feel that urgency and that obsession to keep on innovating, keep on driving forward. Early bird gets the worm. I don't know. What was it? Elon Musk that said nobody changes the world in 40 hours a week. Yeah, I think that was a quote he said one time. And I'm like, yeah, I resonate with that. But at the same time, in the same way that I want our customers to own a business that doesn't own them, I want them to own the business. In the same way that I want that for our customers, I also want to practice what I preach and live that myself.
Dude, I love it. And the fact that you were intentional about putting on your calendar those vacation days, those off days, those family days, I think that's awesome, being intentional about that. And then also knowing that, yes, even though you're going to take these breaks, you can't let your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Especially as a startup, like you said. And this story is lining up already. I can already envision it, when a company goes public or they get bought out by private equity or anything like that. The founder has an amazing story and you have that. So it's like, it's only a matter of time. Things are going to keep multiplying and multiplying. And I can see it, man. So keep doing your thing, Weston. You're killing it, bro. By the way, are you going to be going to Equipment Expo this year?
You better believe it. Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Coming in bigger, fatter, than everywhere and than ever before. We're also going to do, every year we do what we call the Bro Life Breakfast. It's kind of a social media inside joke. It's a hashtag, whatever. But we call it the Bro Life Breakfast. Ladies are welcome to. It's just, like I said, it's a social media inside joke. But we do that out in the parking lot. I think it's going to be Thursday. Is it Thursday or Friday morning? I forget. It's
at the parking lot of the Equipment Expo?
Yeah, exactly. Out there in the RV camping section. And we basically just put out an invite, hey, 6 a.m. Here's the parking spot area where we're doing it, and we just set up Blackstone grills and bacon and eggs and have a good time. And we're also doing a networking event, which our social media, watch our social media, and you'll see the details once the RSVP links are live. But we're doing a networking event, collaborating with other brands in the industry like Chris from PermaEdge, Dan Preston from Hardscape Mentor, John and Chase from Green Foundry. So we do this big kind of like networking event in the evening, having good food and have everything activities lined up. So just a place to socialize after the event's over. And the other thing, I wish it wasn't quite so close to HNA or Equip Expo, but this year we're doing our Contractors Summit. We do an annual summit. We call it the Contractors Summit. We're doing it October 3rd and 4th in Dayton, Ohio. And the Contractor Summit is basically a mix of motivational, inspirational speakers, educational speakers, business spotlight. We do a tour of a business, and we're going to be doing spotlighting Jeremy Swihart from J Squared Outdoor and his incredible outdoor living construction company. You're going to get to see his new operation. He's building a new shop. It's fantastic.
Wow.
And then, of course, the Synked Up team does their talks, like myself and Fred, our CXO, and Etienne, our CTO. And then we kind of have our little awards ceremony. You know, we don't really talk a lot about that until it's a bit of a surprise until we do it. But definitely, man, if you want to get in a room with other people in the grind of business just like you, trying to get ahead, trying to figure out how to run a better business, become a better business owner, structure your business better operationally, this is the room to be in. I'm telling you. Just go to Google Synked Up Contractor Summit and you'll see the recap video from last year. And if that doesn't convince you to come, I don't know what will.
Well, guys, there you guys have it. Definitely sign up for all of these events as well, and give it a shot. You know, Synced Up is it's an amazing platform. You guys should check it out. You know, if you guys have any questions for Weston, where can they reach you?
The easiest place is just DM me on Instagram. The handle is Synked Up. It's just SYNKEDUP. I am the one behind that account. So if you're DMing that account, you're DMing me, and so you can follow my real time kind of life on the stories on that account. A bunch of content and reels and short form stuff is on that account as well. You can reach me directly in the DMs, or you can email me if you have a specific question. Just Weston, WESTON, at synkedup.com, SYNKEDUP.com.
Boom, there you guys have it. Reach out to Weston, reach out to Synced Up, and show up to these events, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Digital Toolbox. Take care, guys. Peace.